I mentioned what a wild and wacky first round it was of the 2022 NFL Draft. There was all this build-up about trades that would potentially happen and who would go first. Well, 18 of the 32 picks went to teams different than the teams originally designated to have those picks. That's right, more than half. 7 Big Ten players chosen in the first round, including number 2 overall pick, Aiden Hutchinson of Michigan, and 3 Big Ten wide receivers go in the first round, 2 from Ohio State back-to-back at 10 and 11, and Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave. You see the rest of the first rounders, Tyler Linderbaum to the Ravens, George Karlaftis to the Chiefs, and Dax Hill to the Cincinnati Bengals. All right, let's try to unpack all of this. Greg Cosell, executive producer of NFL Films, been diving into the NFL for 4 decades plus. Greg, first of all, thanks for being with us. Are you as tired and worn out as I am after such a crazy first round of the NFL Draft? 18 trades overall, if you date all the way back to the original draft order.
Well, just to say this, Rick, last night, I guess I went to bed at midnight like everybody did on the East Coast, and I was back at it watching tape this morning here at NFL Films at about 5:30 this morning. So, yeah, I'm probably a little tired, but I'll survive.
We all will. Some will do so a little bit richer than others, including Aiden Hutchinson, who goes not first as many projected, and many had him number 1 on their draft boards. He instead goes number 2 to the Lions. Why do you think the Jaguars decided on Walker instead of Hutchinson?
My guess is in their mind, they see Walker having more, I hate to use the word potential, but that he could do more things down the road because he's a player that could play inside and outside more so than Hutchinson, although Hutchinson did line up inside at times, Rick, as you probably know. But I think they see Walker as someone that has a little more overall versatility and that it's probably ascending in terms of his pass rush ability from the outside. Whereas Hutchinson, I think Hutchinson's a really, really good prospect. What I loved about him, which you rarely see, Rick, with college pass rushers, is I thought he had a plan every game for the offensive tackles he was going against, and it was a 4-quarter exercise. He was not just out there saying, hey, let me rush the quarterback, let me try to get a sack. He clearly had a plan. He was very explosive in a short area. He had strong, heavy hands. He's a really good prospect, Hutchinson. To me, Hutchinson's one of those guys that for 10 years, you know what you're going to get. He might not get 18 or 20 sacks, but he's going to be a foundation of your defensive line, and he'll play every snap. And that's really important. People forget that. There's a lot of players that only play in certain packages. Aiden Hutchinson will play every snap.
Yeah, big get for the Detroit Lions. Obviously a hometown guy, going to bring some big-time fan interest as well. So after Hutchinson goes, we wait until 10 to hear another Big Ten player taken, and that's Garrett Wilson. And that's part of a run, Greg, in which I believe overall there were 6 receivers taken in 11 picks. Also included Chris Olave, Wilson's teammate, and Jahan Dotson. Why do you think there was such a huge run on wide receivers early to the middle of that first round?
Well, I think that was a function of the fact that it was not a quarterback draft, because ultimately what this draft showed is even though quarterbacks were not selected, it's still a quarterback draft, Rick, because think of it this way. So who else was then drafted because they were not those quarterbacks? People who can rush the quarterback, people who protect the quarterback, people who cover wide receivers and wide receivers. So it's still a passing game draft and a passing game league. You just didn't have the quarterbacks at the top of the draft.
So these guys go so close together with Wilson 10, Olave 11, kind of where they were projected. Dotson may have been a little bit higher than most projections, going 16. I saw most kind of mid-20s. Do you see much, Greg, that separates these guys, or are they all kind of plug and play from day one receivers?
Oh, I would say there's a lot that separates them, and I think they're very team dependent. For instance, I think Chris Olave is in a perfect scenario because to me, Chris Olave is a smooth, fluid, outside type receiver who's not an alpha dog type, but he goes to a team with the Saints where, assuming health, they have an alpha dog in Michael Thomas, who's their boundary X, their single receiver to the short side of the field. He does the dirty work. He runs all the in-breakers. He works in traffic. Chris Olave's not that guy. He does not really work the middle of the field. He doesn't catch the ball in traffic. He's a smooth, fluid, outside receiver who needs space. But given that he went to a team where they have that guy, I think it's a perfect fit for Chris Olave.
Yeah, a guy who can do so many different things. Showed us that at Ohio State, breaking all sorts of records. Let's go to the offensive line and Tyler Linderbaum, who was criticized a little bit for having shorter arms for a center, but those who love him say it's kind of offset by the fact that he's so good getting his hands up after snapping the ball. Greg, you talked about the importance of a player going to the right team. I look at Linderbaum going to a team that's had such success running the football with a good offensive line. This seems like a really good spot for both player and team.
Yeah, I would agree, Rick, because they like to get the ball on the perimeter with Lamar Jackson, which is, of course, where defenses don't want him to get. But Jackson is a significant part of their run game. He's a foundation of it. And I think Linderbaum fits that really well. He's an excellent athlete. He's got light, quick feet, great balance, great body control. The term we like to use is snap-to-step quickness in the zone run game. He's got that. He actually plays pretty strong. You know, obviously people, because he's not 300 pounds and he's not 6'4", people say, well, he'll struggle with strength and power. I think he does a good job with that. I mean, he's got a wrestling background in the state of Iowa, as you know, and I think that it's a really good fit for him. It would not surprise me if he's a day one starter and is one of those guys we talk about in 10 years and say, God, he had a really good career.
Yeah, rush ends were such a big topic of conversation because there were so many good ones this year, and another goes off the board late in the first round in George Karlaftis of Purdue, a guy who probably has less experience, fewer snaps in his career than most other guys. What do you think is the appeal of Karlaftis that had him going in the first round ahead of other guys like, say, Boye Mafe of Minnesota?
Yeah, I think Karlaftis, to me, probably went where it made sense. I did not see him, based on tape study, as a top 10 kind of player. I think when you watch George Karlaftis, what you immediately notice is how powerful his upper body and his hands and his arms are. And, of course, he was a shot put champion in high school in the state of Indiana. So that's what you notice immediately. But the flip side of that is that sometimes his lower body, which does not have the ideal flexibility that you'd like to have, doesn't support all the upper body power. So I think that he's a face-up pass rusher. He's not a bendy guy. He has to work face-up to offensive tackles. I even see him as someone who can move inside in sub-fronts when you go to your nickel or your dime. So Karlaftis, I think, is a good prospect, but I didn't see him as the kind of guy that teams would jump at with the 10th or 12th or 13th pick. So he obviously went to a really good team, and he's in a great situation.
All right, Greg, we have time for one more, so let's get to the last guy taken from the Big Ten in the first round, and then Dax Hill of Michigan, who goes to Cincinnati. You know, Jaquan Brisker was there as well. He's a guy who was rising up a lot of draft boards. What do you think of Hill?
I love Daxton Hill. Daxton Hill played field safety for Michigan in their base defense and slot corner in their sub defense. And he played for a coach who's now back in the NFL, Mike McDonald. And I think Daxton Hill was overall one of the best prospects in this draft. I think he has the kind of traits you could line him up at outside corner, Rick. I mean, he is long, he's athletic, he's explosive. That's a great pick for Cincinnati. I think he's one of the best prospects overall in this draft class.
Boy, I got to tell you, I thought I knew something about football and how college guys relate to the NFL, but now I actually do. We're all smarter thanks to Greg Cosell. Greg, we truly appreciate the time. That's awesome insight and information. And now I know you can't get it now, but on Sunday, get yourself some rest, all right?
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. We'll see how that goes.
Indiana wrapped up its spring a bit ago. One of the earlier teams inside the Big Ten. Some changes, obviously, at quarterback and at OC as well. Defensively, big names are gone, like Micah McFadden and others, but Tywan Mullen returns, as does a fairly experienced defense. Should be one of the more fascinating teams to watch in 2022. It is time now for today's big interview as we welcome in Indiana head football coach Tom Allen. Tom, first and foremost, we appreciate the time. Always great to see you, whether it's via Zoom, whether it's in person. I prefer in person, but this is what we got. This is what we got.
Well, I tell you what, Rick, I sure appreciate it. Been looking forward to being with you today, and good to see you again.
Hey, Tom, what was the mindset that you wanted to see from your team, and did you see that mindset from your team through the offseason, through spring ball, after what I know is a disappointing 2021 for you guys?
Yeah, you know, I think more than anything, you just wanted a sense of urgency from your guys. I wanted our leaders to really take what happened in 2021 personally and to be able to create a mindset and a daily set of actions that we're going to be put in place to correct what went wrong in 2021 and to be able to address some things and to take ownership of it as a football team. And that's what I feel like our leadership has done. And we're very encouraged by the way they responded, wanted to meet with me right away as soon as the season was over and address some things. And our guys have been doing that ever since.
Well, Tom, you've always been that way. Since you took over, you've always said it's about responsibility, and I'm the guy at the front of the room, so I take the responsibility at the end of the day. You talked about how hard it was to replace Nick Sheridan as the OC, but that was the right thing for your football team at this point to bring in Walt Bell. Why was that change the best thing for your team?
Well, the bottom line is, as you said, it is about accountability. That's one of the main pillars of our program. And, for me, the buck stops with me, and I'm responsible for everything that happens in our program. And our offense struggled at a high level consistently throughout the season. We're not able to pull out. I know we had a lot of injuries, but still we're not able to consistently perform. And felt like we needed a new voice on that side of the football, a new vision, a new direction there. And so, we have a very difficult decision to make. A lot of love and respect for Nick Sheridan, him and his family, and I'm about relationships in this program, and that's part of it, but you also have to make tough decisions at times. So we're able to do that and brought in Walt Bell, and he's done a tremendous job of really capturing that side of the ball, be able to create a new vision, make some changes, and to be able to allow him to be able to take on that role of owning our offensive side of the football, owning our preparation, owning our all the things we do on a consistent basis to create the change we know we have to be able to improve and be a better football team in 2022.
Everybody knows you want to own the offense, you have to have a quarterback who can run the offense the way you want it to be run. A lot of quarterback competition right now in Bloomington, fairly crowded room. Where does that stand as you guys start to look ahead to fall practice?
There's no question that there is. It's one of the healthiest points for that room since I've been here for a spring that we've had. I would say as spring concluded that Connor Bazelak and Jack Tettle kind of separated themselves as being the two guys that are in the race to be able to be that guy to run our offense. And so I thought both young men had tremendous springs, working extremely hard, very, very diligent in the process of learning some things we're doing. They're a little bit new, as well as being able to continue to develop that timing with a fairly new receiver core as well. So just a lot of opportunities for both of those young men. Many guys in that room, as you mentioned. Competition is what makes all of us better. So I feel like both those young men have worked extremely hard this spring, need to have a great May, June, and July. Expect them to do that, to be able to get into fall camp, continue the competition, and may the best man be the leader of our team.
Tom, let's go up front. I was fascinated by one of your quotes. You said, I was really hard on purpose in the offseason and through spring on the offensive line. Why, and who answered your challenge?
Well, to me, once again, an area that I did not feel performed to the level of our expectations here, and had to address that, And so to me, that's also individual players, challenging them, meeting with them, meeting with our staff as well, and really just mapping out what we know we have to do to create that change as well. Big men lead the way in our program. It all starts up front. Matt Bedford, to me, was a guy that I really targeted. Luke Haggard as well. Those two guys have anchored our offensive line last couple of years, and I did not think they played to our standard of what we have to do. And to me, that's a leadership piece as well, and challenging them to be able to elevate themselves, owning their own personal preparation, the play of that room, and also the play of the whole offense. And so to me, got to have an edge about you to play on the offensive line. Got to have an edge about you to play at this level. And so to me, guys like that, Michael Cake would be another guy to put in that group to be able to challenge, and that continues throughout the rest of this school year into May and June and July. So those guys to me have to step up. I expect them to. I thought Matt Bedford had his best spring since he's been in Indiana, and I expect that to continue.
Going to open up some holes for a talented running back group, but a very young and inexperienced running back group. How did you feel about that room as you guys wrapped up spring?
Yeah, very excited about our running back room right now. You know, we've got some new additions, as you mentioned. You know, Sean Shivers, to me, is a guy that's coming here from Auburn that brings a lot of confidence, tremendous speed and power to that position. Craig Johnson's our new running backs coach. I love his experience, love his leadership, love the style that he's brought to our program of leading those men. You know, I think Josh Henderson is another young man that we brought in here as well from North Carolina that's going to give us tremendous depth and just a lot of versatility on special teams as well, and the guy that can play in all three downs. And Jalen Lucas, another young man that very, very talented, one of the fastest players I've probably ever coached. The burst is tremendous. Change of direction is elite. And just to have a chance for him to come mid-year, all three of those guys have joined us here in the mid-year. And then you got the guys that were already here, you know, that really allow us to have a very deep room. You know, David Holloman's another young man, and Trent Howland been here, and Charlie Spiegel. You know, we got the guy that's an in-state player that rushed for over 10,000 yards from the state of Indiana, and big, strong, physical guy. So a lot of depth there. Some new faces for sure, some youth, some experience that we brought in. But once again, did not run the football to our standard, to near even close enough to what we have to do to be able to be successful in the Big Ten. So I expect that to change, and it starts up front, but also extends to our running back room as well.
Tom, how is DJ Matthews? Who gives him help out wide?
Well, I tell you what, you know, he's progressing very, very well, worked extremely hard. We'll be back full speed this summer. And Cam Camper is a guy that I really am excited about. Brought him in here from the junior college level and really impressed me this spring. Emory Simmons, another young man that we brought in new that gives us some real speed at that position and a chance to stretch the field. Also, some guys that have been here with Malachi Holt-Bennett that I know has really kind of, you know, been here as a true freshman, had a chance to get some opportunities out there as well to really help this football team get better. Excited about him and many other guys at that position that I think can really help us. A.J. Barner's a guy that doesn't play receiver, but we can flex him out. He's a big-time tight end. To me, I say prospect. He hasn't done it consistently on the field yet. He's been behind Peyton Hendershot and Matt Bjornson. But I think A.J. Barner has a chance to be really, really special. He's got a tremendous frame, and he allows us to be able to stretch the field vertically and horizontally as well, and then also obviously block and be a great guy in the core of our offense. So I really like our receiver core. A lot of new names and faces out there to be able to step up, but that's what this is about. So can't wait to see those guys come together.
Let's talk defense, Tom. When I look at your front seven, I see so much experience, both on the D-line and at linebacker. You have 3 returning seniors and 3 FBS transfers coming in at linebacker alone. You have the transfer J.H. Tevis, who I understand you were very high on, the transfer in from Cal. When you look at that front seven, how about that mix, and how do you see that chemistry between those returning guys and some of the transfers coming in?
Been encouraged by that. I think that's one challenge with bringing in older guys that have been, you know, playing college football. The chemistry that they have as a group, new coaching staff as well, some spots, you know, with our defensive line and then coaching linebackers, you know. So really excited about Paul Randolph up front and Chad Wilt with our linebackers and coordinating our defense. So, you know, I really like the blend. I feel like that, you know, we're going to be as big as we've been since I've been here in the core, and that's huge for us. We made a point to go out and get some bigger, stronger guys that have played, you know, at this level, and I'm excited about that. And you mix it in with a lot of experience coming back as well in the D-line as well as a linebacker. And Cam Jones is really our leader, not just of our defense, I'd say probably of our whole team, and has just got another level of expectation from myself, but he's responded in a huge way. He was one of those guys that say, hey, Coach, we need to meet, and we met right after the season was over and just kind of map out some things that he felt like had to be, you know, done differently. He felt like from a player perspective and the things he saw in the locker room that he didn't like and wanted to see change with, not just with our defense, but with our whole football team. And it's just little things that I feel like that, you know, guys that have been here a long time sometimes see. And when things don't go the way you know they should or you want them to, it really forces you to be able to, you know, address some of those things. And so to me, Cam's one of those guys and love his leadership. And even Aaron Casey Casey had a great spring. We moved him to the Mike linebacker position, and with the addition of several other players as well, Jared Casey and some other young men at the linebacker spot that I'm really excited about. You know, I really feel like that Bradley Jennings is a young man that has brought some experience from Miami University down there in Florida and coming up here and playing for us. And I just love what he brings. And I just think that James Head's another young man. Lance Bryant been here many years, and Miles Jackson's proved to be a guy as well as mentioned J.H. Tevis. So I really like our front seven. They got to keep working hard. We got to have the best summer we've ever had since I've been here in our preparation. But when you're strong up front, it gives you a chance. I got to continue to work on creating pressure on the quarterback. But to me, you got the pieces in place, because behind those guys is really what I think is the strength of our whole team, which is our secondary.
All right, Tom, we got about a minute left, so let me touch on that secondary, because obviously Marcelino Ball is gone. I love that position, the Husky. It's so important to you guys. What happens back there?
Well, we got several guys. You know, Fitzgerald there is a mainstay for us, and Bryant Fitzgerald, we call him Fitzy. But also, I tell you what, Noah Pierre, another guy that we're going to have that key spot. And we've also played the Taiwan Mullen there. Jay Will is back at corner, and Monster at safety. And I just really know those guys are some of our best players and some of our strongest leaders. So that really excites me.
Tom Allen, always great to catch up. You get me fired up. I mean, we're months away from football. I'm ready to go. The opener, of course, inside the Big Ten once again. Last year was Iowa, this year Illinois. Tom, great to catch up with you. Best of luck. Hope everybody stays healthy throughout the summer and the fall. Can't wait for the opening weekend.
Appreciate that, Rick. Have an awesome day. Elia.
Our congratulations to Ohio State's Bobby Van Buren, coming off an outstanding first season with the Buckeyes, named the Freshman of the Year earlier this season. Outstanding defenseman in Ohio State, set to start their Big Ten tournament in the quarterfinals on Saturday against Michigan, the same team the Buckeyes beat to end the regular season. And we welcome in the Freshman of the Year now as Bobby Van Buren joins us from Columbus. Bobby, it's never easy to come in. You're a highly touted recruit, ton of expectations on a veteran team. So how did you approach your first year in Columbus?
Yeah, for me, I think it was just, staying humble first and foremost, and just learning from, older guys and the coaches as much as I could. Just like whether it's, setting up extra meetings with Coach Crane, our defensive coach, or just asking questions, to, the older defensemen. And, just learning as much as I can and staying humble, I think was kind of my key approach this year. And I feel like it paid off well. I've learned a lot, and I feel like I've gotten a lot better, just from coming in the fall to now. So I owe it all to my teammates and my coaches for sure.
Any of us who have played team sports understand that the young guys are often welcomed into the team in various ways. Friendly initiation, shall we say, a reminder that you're a freshman, as good as you may be on a veteran team. I'm guessing there was some of that good-natured welcome to the team, but here's a reminder that you're a youngster.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. They definitely took me under their wing for sure and treated me with kindness. But as you just said, they also let me know that, hey, just because, you're a high recruit or whatever, like, we're going to treat you just like we treat everyone else on the team, which is exactly what they did. And I'm really thankful for that. I don't want to be treated differently in any way. So, and I think it, like I mentioned before, I think it made me better. So definitely, took me under their wing, but also it said, hey, we're going to treat you just like we treat everyone else. And I think that's how it should be. So definitely thankful for that.
So what did it feel like earlier this week to know that approach, the approach from both you and the team, worked so well that you were, in fact, named the Ohio State and Big Ten Freshman of the Year?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think it's just, sticking to a plan. I think, again, Coach Crane does a really nice job of just giving us a plan every week based on our opponent. And then just, for the entire season, I think the defense especially has grown a lot from that first game against Detroit Mercy. Just cleaning up some things and improving. And we still obviously have a lot of work to do. But, I really do credit a lot to Coach Crane in terms of, some of our success for sure. So it's been great.
Hey, why was defense the right spot for you with your skill set?
I mean, it's interesting because when I first started playing lacrosse around 9 years old, I initially tried out as a midi. And I played midi, I think, for, about a year, maybe a little less. But eventually I tried out for team in Charlotte, the South Charlotte Select Cyclones, it was called back then, and now it's Team Carolina. And, you know, I was at the tryout, and one of the coaches gave me a long pole just because they saw, you know, I had pretty good athleticism, but, you know, my stick skills weren't really there at the time. And I ended up making a team with a long stick. So from there, it just kind of turned into, you know, that's my position now. And I think it's been great. I feel like I've really come to that to be my favorite position. And yeah, I feel like it's the perfect fit for me, for sure.
What about the sport in general? Because the lacrosse hotbeds are considered the Northeast, the Mid-Atlantic. I mean, you even look at the schools in the state of North Carolina, which is where you're from, that have really good lacrosse programs. Duke, UNC, those rosters are littered with guys not from North Carolina, but from New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Maryland. So how did lacrosse, for a guy obviously as athletic as you are, come to be your sport?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it all kind of credit goes to my mom there. She signed me up for a lacrosse clinic when I was 8 years old, and I just ended up loving it, you know, ever since I played in that clinic. And eventually, she got me on a rec league team. Then, you know, from there, I got on that first travel team, the Cyclones, like I mentioned earlier, and it just kind of went from there. But, you know, credit goes to my mom there. No one in my family before has ever played lacrosse. I'm the first in my family. And you're right, especially back then when I was 8 or 9 years old, lacrosse was not very big in North Carolina, and I think it's grown a lot since then. But yeah, credit goes to my mom there definitely for getting me into the sport, for sure.
Oh, I'm guessing your mom also had something to do with your education, because I understand for at least part of your elementary education you were homeschooled. What was that like? Yeah,
so I was basically homeschooled all the way up until college. So you're right. In the after kindergarten, I was homeschooled up to about the 3rd grade by my mom, and you know, obviously she was really good with that. And then after the 3rd grade, we kind of started doing more co-op programs with other homeschooled students. So that's a little bit different to where you'd still have, you know, tutors and teachers outside of your parents. But yeah, I never really attended a real public school or private school. So it's definitely an unorthodox approach, for sure. But you know, it turned out well for me, and yeah, I'm thankful for my parents for helping me along the way for that, for sure.
So I also read a little bit deeper in your bio to learn that you're a 3rd-degree black belt at this point. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. I actually did Taekwondo from age 3 to 13. So that was 10 years of Taekwondo. And, you know, I think the greatest benefit to doing that is not necessarily learning the martial arts, but it teaches you, you know, discipline and you know, focus. And I think it teaches you a lot of critical things that kids don't get these days. So I think it's I think it was a great decision by my parents to get me into that at an early age, and yeah, but I did end up earning my 3rd-degree black belt around 13 years old, and I ended up slowing down after that just to focus more on lacrosse, because that was kind of more my passion and what I wanted to do. So yeah, but I definitely don't regret doing Taekwondo at all. I think it was a big part of shaping who I am today, for sure.
All right, let's get you out of here with this, Bobby. As a 3 seed, you'll face Michigan Saturday in Columbus, beat them 14-12. Close game to finish the regular season. They have a terrific offensive player in Josh Sawada. What's the key to a 2nd straight win?
Yeah, I think for us, it's just playing our game. I feel like even though we came out with the win, and I know the coaches feel the same way, there are a lot of things that, you know, we didn't do that allowed them to get back into that game because we were up pretty big for most of the game. So I feel like just playing our game and cleaning up some things. We've been doing that all week so far, just in the film room and all that. So yeah, cleaning up some things and playing our game. I think it's all about us, really. We say that all the time. We'll come out with the win again, but it's definitely going to be a challenge being the same team twice, especially being our rivals. But I know if we do what we got to do, we're going to get it.
Great to catch up with Ohio State's Bobby Van Buren, the Big Ten Freshman of the Year. The Buckeyes set to take on Michigan in the quarterfinals of the Big Ten tournament on Saturday. Bobby, we appreciate the time. Congrats on all your success, and best of luck in the future.
Thank you. Appreciate it.